All right, back with another modcast brought to you live from auburnlive.com. Jeffrey Cole, I'm Justin Hokanson. What's up, guys? What are we doing?
What's going on?
Ready to get back in the friendly confines of Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's been a month, man.
Been a long
Weird.
one. And then next week is off, right?
Yeah, it's the first year of 2 off weeks, which I am all for.
Absolutely.
I'm all for that. All for that.
I
Play Auburn
kind
this week.
of don't like it because I'm in a rhythm right now with stories and stuff, and then we got a week off, and it's like, okay.
I'm good.
Swing and a miss.
So I don't have to actually cover. I'll take a break from covering a game. I think I'm gonna go to Nashville. I need a little, just to go up there a day or two.
Check out The Office.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna take it off.
Okay.
Take a day off. Not go see them. Love them. Not like they watch the show, but yeah. Back at home, that's nice. Yes, it'll be good. It'll be good. All right, a lot to talk about. Let's get into this thing. Shout out to Session, sponsor of the show, right there on Magnolia Avenue, downtown Auburn. Go check them out. Happy hours 4 to 7. They're open Sundays 12 to 5. Go check them out. They have a new little kind of fall menu that you can check out. And then, of course, they've got their normal sort of routine menu. And then they'll make you whatever you want, old fashions or I love, like we talked about, Cole and I love the Gold Rush.
Yep.
If you go, try the monkey business and tell me if you like it. But yeah, go check them out. We'll be there tomorrow, Friday, happy hour show. We'll have Cole maybe hop in at some point if he wants to, and we'll chat about Auburn and Vanderbilt. We'll talk basketball tomorrow too. This is all football, but a happy hour now we can start kicking into basketball too. So we'll do the happy hour show 4 to 5. And then I'll probably just go straight over to the arena. Exhibition game at Florida Atlantic is at 7, I think, or something like that. So it's not televised. So we'll hop over there and watch that. I think it's gonna be sold out exhibition game.
Oh, and while you're there, man, while you're at Sessions, chumming it up, get on to prospects.com. Go to download the app. Get some picks in. If you're not familiar with Prospects, Prospects is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. You just it's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. It's the most fun you'll have, winning up to 100 times your money. This football season, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less than on the projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types that are sure to make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Big promo going on right now. Go to prospects.com. or download the app. Use the promo code Auburn Live to receive a guaranteed $50 once you play $5 in lineups. That's prospects.com. Promo code Auburn Live, $50 in your pocket once you play $5 in lineups. No Auburn Vandy stat projections this week. I found this one interesting though. Our boy Quinshon Judkins, from where's he from? Not Park Crossing. What's
Pike Road?
Pike Road. That's what I said. Went to Ole Miss, transferred to Ohio State. They've got a huge game this weekend with Penn State. His rushing projected stat line I thought was interesting was 51.5. I don't know what kind of year he's having.
He had a good week last week.
Did he?
Yeah.
He's going to be like, now that he's splitting time with Travion Henderson, his numbers probably obviously will go down to what he was doing at Ole Miss, but he's still so good. They just have a 1-2 punch. That's let's see where they're at. Judkins got 520 yards and 6 touchdowns. Okay. Travion's got 450 and 4. So it's
wow.
They're a little two-headed monster.
So that's about his average then, about 50 yards a game.
Yeah, he's averaging 70 right there at 74. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He's a big pass catcher too. I know they throw the ball to him a good bit. So,
and that's #1 versus #3, Ohio State and Penn State.
No, let's see. Penn State's 2. I think Oregon's 1. Penn State's 2. Ohio State's 3. I think Georgia's 3.
Oh, what?
So Ohio State's like 4 or 5. I think Georgia 3. Somebody.
Are they undefeated?
Who?
Ohio State.
think they lost
No.
at Oregon.
They lost to
okay.
Oregon. Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Penn State's undefeated. So
Yes.
it's probably a game where a loser. I mean, Ohio State. I mean, I guess if your losses are Penn State and Oregon, that's pretty good. I guess maybe you could still get in, but if you don't even make the Big Ten championship, Ohio State could maybe still. I don't know that that's a play-out game necessarily yet for those two.
Is Keandre Lambert-Smith an integral part of the Penn State offense if he stays?
I think so. I mean,
I think he
I
would
don't know
be
where
in
they're
there.
at.
I don't know if he'd be the top guy.
Okay.
And I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't watched one Penn State game this year. Not one.
Let's see where they're at. Penn State receiving. So their leading receivers got 560 and 4. So I don't know what Lambert's total yardage. He's certainly got more touchdowns. I don't know what
He's
his
got
total yardage is.
583.
So he's above their Tyler. Well, and it's their leading pass catchers at tight end, Tyler Warren. That's right. He's got they throw their tight end.
Oh, that guy's
He's
good.
got
Man.
47 catches. So the receiver is at 350 and 2. So I would think if Lambert Smith's there, he's an integral part. Yeah.
I wonder why he transferred.
I don't know that guy that was like, man, this is a bad. That was never. He's terrible. Y'all remember seeing that video?
Mm-mm.
There's a guy that came out that covers Penn State, and he's like, yeah, he's never going to make it. I don't remember what he said. I don't want to quote him, but he was not high on Keandre Lambert-Smith, put it that way.
Leaving Penn State.
Just he didn't think he would be a good player somewhere else.
Like when he left, he was like not a big loss.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's par for the course though. That's kind of most people are kind of like that, right? Not a big loss. Yeah, they damn sure can run the ball. Nick Singleton, we remember him as a freshman and 22 come in here and run for whatever he did in Auburn.
Both of those guys are legit. That's the best backfield in the country, I think. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen.
Yeah, they're pretty. That's going to be a hell of a game. So 50 yards,
Whatever. Penn State must have a good defense, though.
Oh yeah, I think they're pretty strong there. Oh man.
Yeah. I'm
ready for this 12-team playoff, man. I am fired up about that. I am.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It'll be cool. It'll be different.
Now, let me tell you why I like it. For the first time for a long time, we don't have to rely. I mean, yeah, number 13 and 14, they'll be pissed because they didn't make it in, and there will be some controversy there. But at least we don't have to let the nerds decide. We get to let them decide on the field. And then there will be debate. Well, they weren't the best team. They were just the best team at the time. Okay, good. They won. Who cares? They won. They won head up. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
There's no other argument for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the NFL. I mean, every now and then you'll get a hot team in the NFL that'll make a run as a wild card. But I don't know. I don't watch every – I don't know that I know the NFL well enough to think, is it 80% of the time that you pretty much have one of the top couple seeds make the Super Bowl? Probably more times than not, the better teams are going to be in there. Every now and then you have somebody pop up. But, yeah, that'll be fun. So you have a road game, right? The first round are home and away games, right? And the second round is home and away, and then they get to
neutral.
What is it?
The bowls?
Like, how is it set up?
Home and away. I don't think the first round bye people get an away. Then they get a bowl on the next round when they meet with the teams that were in the bye, I think
that's right. Because so it's kind of cool. Like, so if you're one of the better teams, you get a bye, which is good, but you won't get that home playoff game. So if you're like the 8 seed playing maybe the 9 or something like that, you get like a home playoff game, right?
Yeah.
But you just have to play more games potentially. That'll be cool to me, is a playoff environment in a home away situation. Like, that'll look kind of cool.
Me too.
That's gonna be awesome. I wish they did it for the next round too, but I'll take it. I'll take what we get.
Yeah, there it is. I'm looking at it. So yeah, they got the first round. So those 4 games will be a legit home and away. Then you're into the quarterfinals. Those 4 games will probably be at a bowl, and then of course the semis. And then the Mercedes-Benz is where the championship is. So,
is the line still at 5.5 for
7?
Auburn?
It's moved up. It's moved up to 7. In some places, it was 6.5, and some that I checked. But yes, 6.5, 7. That's what you're looking at right now for Auburn.
Wow.
Yeah, that makes me a little. I'm not sure about that.
Like they're begging you to take Vandy for some reason. I mean,
Well, let's get into it. Quick notes: 22-21-1 all-time advantage for Auburn. Auburn had owned the series; they'd won like 13 in a row until 2008. One of the worst teams Auburn's had. They lost to Vanderbilt. Then 2012, one of the worst teams Auburn's ever had, lost to Vanderbilt. And then Auburn's won 2 in a row, but even going back to those 2 losses, really the last 4 have been kind of close. I mean, Auburn won in 2016, 23-16, and then last year in Vanderbilt was 31-15, where Auburn kind of dominated but couldn't really should have put that one away a little bit more, and so the score looked a little bit closer than it was. But I mean, Vanderbilt comes in here with the best team.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, when Franklin was there, they went to a bowl a couple times, but even then, I mean, beating Alabama and playing Texas close, I don't know. It's one of the best Vanderbilt teams in my lifetime, which is whatever, not saying a lot or saying a lot. I don't know, but
was it 09 when Vanderbilt beat Auburn at Vandy?
No, 2008 and 2012.
Okay.
Both those games were in Nashville. 08 was the game where they
12.
that might have been Franklin's last game there. It was just an utter disaster. And then 2012 was I don't remember much about that. I remember the 08 game. I don't remember much about the 12 game.
I don't either. I don't remember anything from that season. So other than Kyle Frazier, I remember that.
Yeah, 08, I remember that game because they went out, they started running the football because Franklin was the OC. It was a disaster. They came out, first 2 drives, they just pounded the rock with Ben Tate. They go up 14-0. You're like, finally, you're running the ball. And then everything hit the skid, and they ended up losing they ended up losing 14-13. And then in 2012, they lost 17-13. That game, I just don't remember.
I got nothing on that one.
Yeah. But last year, Jarquez went off. 180-something yards there. One of their touchdowns was a pick 6 that Peyton just didn't see. Remember, threw out in the flats. The guy just walked in from 10 yards out. So that's probably why that game should have been, a bigger margin than it was. But different animal in Vanderbilt this year. I don't know about the 7 spread. I don't know, man. I don't know if they're giving Auburn too much credit for finally winning one. I don't know. What's been – I mean, obviously Vanderbilt, those 2 good performances were at home, Bama and Texas. On the road at Kentucky, they won, but they didn't – it wasn't – I don't even think they beat Kentucky. I don't even think they were as dominant as Auburn was. I mean, Auburn should have won by more.
2013 was the final score of Vandy, Kentucky, I think.
Was it?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the stats, but I don't – like Auburn should have beaten Kentucky. I mean, that score should have been, 30-10 the way they dominated, honestly. Yeah. What do you make of that? 7-point spread's pretty good for a team that's just 1-4 in the league. Vanderbilt was just ranked.
I did not see that coming, man. I did not see that coming. I thought it would be reversed. I thought Vandy -4 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it would be pretty close, almost like a pick 'em. I think it's pretty close, honestly, because Vanderbilt controls the ball. Auburn has all these issues on offense, even though they did put it together against Kentucky. They still have issues, though. I mean, maybe people are like, "Oh, there's Hunter." Now they're going to start rolling. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know.
Well, okay. So I was looking at Vanderbilt's rush defense, and they're middle of the pack. They're a couple of spots ahead of Kentucky, giving up 918 yards. What's that in the game? I don't know. But do you know who has the 2 worst rush defenses in the conference?
Alabama.
Mississippi State is the worst, and Alabama is right in front of them.
Yeah, people are trouncing Alabama on the ground. I mean, that's just from the eye test from watching their games.
And not to look ahead, we got plenty of time. But Cole, remember we talked about this Tuesday? We literally talked about we got plenty of time to talk about that. But
that conversation didn't happen.
It did happen. No, we talked about it. I said, listen, not to look too far ahead, but I've sort of just been assuming Auburn's got to go to Alabama. It's a loss. Tough game. but I think Auburn can hang in there. I think if Auburn puts a game plan together, they can be competitive in that game. Win it, I don't know. But I was sort of like, I think they can go bathe out and go there and be competitive. But that's down the road.
Well, I mean, you don't look at any game on the schedule and say they're just going to get blown out. They're better than that. They're going to be competitive in all these games. But, I mean, yeah, if you're running the ball really well and they don't stop the run very well, then that makes sense, right?
So I'm looking at Vanderbilt. I mean, I guess the reason for the spread, I mean, if you look at it, on the road, Vanderbilt lost at Georgia State. Yikes. They lost at Missouri. I wish I could pull up the stats. That's 3-point game, but I don't know if they were. Vanderbilt might have been able to win that game. But anyway, lost on the road there.
It was an overtime game.
Missouri's not great either.
Missouri's not great.
They were heavily overranked in the
They're a lot better with Brady Cook. I will say that.
Yeah. Kentucky, they win 20-13. I watched parts of that game. It was, they were better, but like they didn't, like I said, I think Auburn dominated Kentucky more so than what Vanderbilt did in that game. And then that's it. So like the Vanderbilt's looked good at home, but away, lost to Georgia State, lost at Missouri, beat Kentucky by a touchdown. So I just think maybe they're looking at it going, Vanderbilt on the road has been a little bit different than Vanderbilt at home. They've sort of used some of that magic at home and sort of maybe the lull them to sleep, and they've played well. But on the road, it's been a little bit different. You get an Auburn team that's now a little bit confident. We know Auburn's record's not quite as indicative of what maybe the kind of team they are, but they are who they are. And just giving Auburn a little bit of a home field advantage there, a little edge.
I don't know. The line just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But we study it every day. So what does the outside perspective see right now? I mean, the outside perspective sees Vanderbilt beat Alabama, whatever. Like you said, you read through the schedule, but I think they see Auburn as a tough home environment and Vanderbilt as still being Vanderbilt, even though they are improved, if that makes sense. More so than they're giving credit to Auburn. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you normally give home? Is it as much as a touchdown?
Usually
3-4 points. 3 to 4 points, Zach says. Okay, so
but I mean, if you're looking at Vanderbilt's record on the road, also taking into consideration that Auburn is 2-3 at home.
Yeah, it's weird. You're looking at it going, they should have beat Cal, should have beat Arkansas, should have beat Oklahoma, but lost them all. That's probably, but and again, these are betting lines, so you're also saying, okay, a neutral field, you probably give Auburn by a field goal. You're thinking people are going to bet Auburn. So I think what I think is the most interesting part of this game plan, it's why Auburn fans have sort of been dreading this game all year. Now it's a little different. If Auburn was sitting here at, what are they, 3-4? Are we 3-5 now? If Auburn was sitting here 5-3 or 6-2, this would be a real scare. You're like, oh boy. But this is one of those games that everybody's been scared about because of Diego Pavia, because of Tim Beck, the OC, because of Jerry Kill. I don't know how you factor that into this spread. I mean, because Jerry Kill and Tim Beck are coming off 2 straight seasons of handing it to Hugh Freeze and whoever else was on that Liberty staff, Josh Aldridge, whoever else. But
yeah, there may be something to that. There may be something to that, actually, because do you think they're looking at it like, okay, well, there is no way Freeze and Auburn underestimate this Pavia guy. Ain't no way at this point, right?
Oh no, like it's not possible. If you do, it's like a fireable offense. If you if you treat this anything other than just a monster game, yeah,
right. And I think that might be playing into the line just a little bit. Like, okay, they know what they're dealing with here. They're not going to sleepwalk into this game, and they know what's on the line for Auburn too. Like, you can't really lose another one of the Final Four that you got there. You can't lose 2 out of that 4. You're being in bad shape. Maybe they're looking at it like that too. I don't know. And they think Auburn's on the rise. Which I'll tell you this, I was having a conversation with somebody, and it is sort of an interesting dynamic that we're dealing with this year. They usually, in my in recent experience with Auburn, I think Auburn starts out somewhat hot and then falls off hard at the end, and that's been the story maybe this is a little different. Maybe they start off terrible and they start gaining momentum as the season goes. Maybe, or are they just going to be horrible? And that was a fluke game with Kentucky. I mean, those two things are very real right now.
Yeah, I mean, so it probably depends on scheduling. You could probably go back and look at years where the schedule was soft in the beginning, and then it got, I don't know. I've never thought Auburn's a horrible team. I just
No,
think
definitely not.
they're just a wildly. And it just, I don't. If that makes you horrible, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean,
your record makes you what you are, right?
Sure, if
But
they went 3-9, you're like, that's horrible. You're right. That would reflect you would say that's a horrible record. But even then, I might go, God, that's a horrible record. But I don't know that I'd call them a horrible team. But it's certainly a horrible record.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: do these games? So Vanderbilt, what? Let's see, Louisiana Monroe, Texas A&M, Alabama. Do those games look more winnable to you now, or do they still look like they're an uphill climb?
What do you think, Jeffrey?
I think they're more winnable. Absolutely. I think this Vanderbilt game is more winnable because of what I saw last week at Kentucky. They found a way to win. They didn't find a way to lose. And what were they up 7 going into the fourth? One possession game going into the fourth quarter, I believe. It was 17-10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when did they score that last touchdown?
And they found a way to win. And I loved seeing that. And I said this earlier, man, the biggest concern for me going into that game was, is this team done? If they let another one slip down, they're done. And I almost felt that way at Missouri. I was like, man, at some point, these kids are just going to, almost like Kentucky did last week. You could tell Kentucky was just like, they're over it, man. And that was my biggest concern with Auburn. And
quit.
So for Auburn to find a way to win, it's like a new life for them. It's a new season for Auburn. So I think I don't know about A&M. I don't know about the matchup there with them, because let's be honest here, as competitive as Auburn has been, they're still not. They're not a good football team. I don't think they are. They're not a good football team. They wouldn't be 3-5 if they were, or whatever it is. Was it 3-5? Is that right?
Yeah.
Not yet. I think they have the potential to be a good football team. I do. And I think Kentucky was the first step. They played a much more consistent football game. They weren't pretty at all times. There was coaching mishaps. There were turnovers. But to go down 10-0 on the road in a first half, that was pretty bad.
First quarter. Oof.
And to come back and score 24 unanswered points. Didn't give up another score and scored 20 and reeled off 24. Could have scored, like you said, Justin, it should have been 30 at least. And it could have been worse. I mean, if Auburn punched that in at the end, they could have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So building confidence, finding a way to win that game. This game against Vandy is very crucial. Last year, this would be a game Auburn would lose. Remember, I mean, it was such a roller coaster last year. It was highs and lows, man. And this year it's been pretty steady. Even the dips, it's like you're right there, but you just can't find a way to win. And they finally got over that hump. I think they can beat Vanderbilt. I expect them to beat Vanderbilt. I think they should and absolutely better beat La Monroe. I don't give a shit who their coach is or what's going on down there. A&M, I don't know about that, but it's more winnable because I see what these coaching staff can do with a lesser talented roster. Alabama, absolutely. So yeah, I do feel much better about the remaining 4 games on the schedule. I think they'll all be one score lines, maybe, except for I don't know about A&M. I just don't know what to do about that. I know the early line for Alabama was like 14 or 17.
Yeah, we were talking about that Tuesday. I was like, that sounds right now. It's I don't know that it'd be 17. That feels a tad high. Depends on I think it depends on how Auburn goes in. If they go in limping or if they go in finding their footing a little bit. But I think 13, 14, 15, something like that seems about where it'll be.
But you might get at that time 2 teams on 2 different trajectories.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
They missed
exactly what I
another
was going to add to what you're saying, Jeffrey. This doesn't feel like the last 3 seasons or whatever that Auburn's ended up with a losing record. Auburn could end up with a losing record this year, but it doesn't feel the same. I don't think you're grasping for straws trying to find players. Now, depth is a concern, obviously, especially now at corner with Antonio Kite no longer being with the team. Offensive line has depth, but they're not sure who to go with exactly. I think they've found the 5 that's going to work. Wade, Joyner, Lou, Wright, Miller. But I don't look at this team and go, now they just don't have enough to win these games. Where I was looking at those other teams and going, they don't have enough. They don't have enough players. They got enough. I think they have enough. I think they have enough to blow the doors off of Vanderbilt. I felt like I'm kind of kicking myself. I wanted to write this before the Kentucky game, but I feel like when Auburn does win a game and finds a way to win, they'll blow the doors off of them. They have enough to start doing that. And they near about did that to Kentucky. So I'm kind of kicking myself for not writing that. I thought about it, but didn't. Now I think you're entering a game where it could be really close, or I think it could be really close whether Auburn or Vanderbilt wins or Auburn blows the doors off of it and scores big. I think it could go those 2 ways and really no in between.
Yeah, man. I won't pick Auburn to blow the doors off anybody until
Well, I'm not
they
picking
actually
that,
do it.
but I think it could happen. It's more likely to happen to me than them getting blown out in any of these games. That includes Alabama.
3
I
or
mean,
more
at
scores.
home against Vandy, yeah, I would say it's more likely you win by 3 touchdowns than lose by 3 touchdowns. But they just we're in November and they haven't. Even Kentucky, look, they won that game, and here we are saying they should have won by more. They should have. But once again, they did things they do, which is they screw up opportunities. The first half, they ended a drive at the 21 and the 29 and got no points. And then, of course, they kneel it at the end. So, like, did they win? Yeah. But we're still looking at a game we're going, you could have won by more and you didn't. Kind of like you could have beaten Arkansas, but you didn't.
How much of that?
I think that's them.
How much of that do you think has to do with talent?
The inconsistency?
Yeah, like the play before halftime and the things like that. I happen to think it has 0 to do with talent.
Well, the inconsistencies, I mean, I think you could maybe point to offensive line. Like if you were a little bit better there and you don't miss a block or you don't turn a guy loose, maybe you don't get a sack on second down. And I think it's probably a mixture. I mean, before halftimes that's a situational mistake, but the inconsistencies in the middle of the game where like there's a stat, Cole, where I was looking at against Kentucky, and I meant to go back and look at Missouri and stuff too, but I'll go look at the advanced stats after the game. And I feel like the last couple games, I'll go look at third downs, but then I also look at first down. And like against Kentucky, they were great on first down.
Oh, yeah.
They were averaging like 6-something yards a play on first down. Peyton was 7 for 7 on first down, or he might have been 7 on 7 on third down. But they were averaging 6-something yards a play on first down, and yet their third down average was like 6 or 7 yards. And so I almost wanted to go. It'd be if you wanted to dive into it, but I almost went back and looked at the last couple of games because I feel like they're having good first down success. And then clearly second down's not happening because their third downs average is almost the same as it's like they're going nowhere on second downs. But anyway, some of that stuff in the middle of the game, I feel like you could point to a wrong route or you didn't pick that guy up and we missed a chance. And now here we are 3rd and 6 and we could have been ahead of the chains. And
Right. I just think that goes along with what Jeffrey's saying. This is not a good team. And I don't think it's necessarily because they're lacking in talent so much, which we've seen Auburn teams like that. I think it's more because of that kind of stuff. You're still screwing up easy junior high like situations. That was the
you're
term
saying coaching. You're saying coaching.
I don't know, execution. I mean, sometimes that's you can lead a horse to water. An interesting question. So 13 plays. I'm writing a story about this. By the time you're watching this, hopefully it'll be out. 13 run plays that went for 10 or more yards in this game.
Yeah.
All right. How many of those do you think were RPOs?
Against Kentucky?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say not many.
I feel like they went away from it.
What number would you say is the amount of RPOs in those 13 plays?
And there's
I would say
13.
4 to 5.
I'd say less. I feel like probably one or two. I feel like they really just started just kind of pounding.
Yeah, me too. They just went straight to the
Yeah. Now, 3 of those plays or at least 4 of those are in that last drive where they just took everything out and they said, we're just going to run the ball, right? So, okay.
Yeah.
Aside from those, though, there were 4 RPOs called that I can tell. Okay. This is me. This is my thing.
Yeah.
This ain't PFF or anything. I may be wrong on 1 or 2 of those, but I think I'm right watching the routes and the way it's blocked.
Yeah.
But those were plays where I think Peyton Thorne was under the impression that I must hand this ball off instead of reading what I've practiced. Okay, so that pitch is open. Okay, I would throw that if I'm Peyton Thorne anytime. It doesn't matter what the down and distance is. That's not what my brain says, right? My brain says do what we've practiced, which is throw it when it's open. I think Hugh Freeze got in his ear this week and said, Peyton, you will not throw this ball. Don't do it. Right? And I talked about this on the film room, but I think that's what happened. I think that was a big difference. So there were RPOs in those plays. There were several other RPOs that went for 5 to 9 yards runs, but he handed it off when he had an easy pass. So what was the difference in that? In my opinion, it was they told him, you're going to hand this ball off or you will not play or something like that. I don't think that Peyton Thorne's ever gone rogue and said, no, I'm throwing the ball, man. What are you talking about? That's just not him. Right? So they told him. And Freeze kind of echoed that when y'all talked to him Monday, and he said, look, I was telling him, run it. I wanted to throw it. It was there. Run it. So they're still calling some RPOs, not as many in those downs and in the crucial moments, but they still had them, right? They were just running it.
They were running out of the RPO package.
Yeah, they had the pass. They had it. I mean, several times you started seeing them go to it a little bit more. They threw some hitches, the short routes because they were backed off 10 yards. But there were times when they were backed off 10 yards and they didn't throw it because they knew it was a great time to run the ball, and they end up getting whopping gains out of it, right? So that was the difference. I think if they continue on with that, they're going to have a chance to.
Was
like
one
I
of
said,
those plays where the I think this was the Kentucky game where I think it was the defensive end, maybe it was the outside linebacker, crashed down, took Hunter, hit him, and then was like,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, does Peyton have the ball?
Yeah,
And Jarquez took off for 50 or whatever it was.
it was just an inside zone play with no RPO attachment.
Oh, okay. And so he was still like, who's got the ball? Wasn't even an RPO?
Yeah. So again, you talk about the tiny details, right?
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne wrote it a little bit longer than he normally does because he saw that guy coming and crashing hard. He ends up giving it, but that extra half a second. And for anybody, if you've ever played D line or DN, I have, and I've been the read man before. It is so confusing. You have to pick somebody. You cannot try to guess. You have to pick the running back or the quarterback. You can't guess, or you will just be sitting there like this, and you won't tackle anybody. And that's exactly what happened to that guy on that play you're talking about. Because the mesh was a little bit longer. That's just a day one fundamental. Like, ride the mesh a little bit longer, and you'll confuse the crap out of that guy. That's exactly what happened. That was a big play.
It was a good balance. Peyton had in the second half, Peyton had runs of 9, 11, 4, and 9. So what they did call his number a few times, and they were great calls, and he made the most of it. And I wrote about it, but look at what the running game did for just everything. Like Peyton's performance in that game is kind of completely ignored because he only threw for $172, and he had the interception, which Freeze came back and said that was kind of on a wrong route, sort of threw that whole thing off. It was still a little bit on Peyton, but
yeah,
Malcolm ran the wrong route. Peyton was ready to throw it. Now Malcolm's not open. Now Peyton's holding the ball. It kind of threw everything off. Now Peyton he still tried to throw a ball that a Kentucky guy was kind of hovering, sort of baited him into it. But Freeze sort of said a wrong route, sort of threw that off. But beside that, once you get past Thorne starting 5 of 10, then they get the running game going. Thorne finished the game 15 of his last 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Including a touchdown. And they weren't, but because they were running the ball, they weren't anything crazy, didn't have to go deep, didn't have to be super, super aggressive. It was, I could probably go back. Look, it was a lot of manageable passes. It was a lot of fairly simple, straightforward passes, but even against air, you just complete 15 to 16,
Mm.
and you combine that with running the ball the way they did. That's pretty much a perfect recipe. If you can,
Well, one of the things is that they hit a deep shot, right? They took a shot when they weren't expecting it to Keandre Lambert Smith, got an interference. All right, that scares them a little bit, right? Now they start backing off. Then you throw a fade in the end zone. They come back out. They're like, all right, we got to put 2 safeties back out there. We can't just load the box now. They're throwing it. And then they dare Auburn to try to throw it. And again, Auburn was not always throwing it. They'd hand it off. I mean, it's a little more demoralizing to pound it against the defense than it is to throw little hitches at them all the time. And they were willing to live with the hitches and stuff, and they wanted that to happen to see if Thorne would eventually screw up, because that's been a good recipe for beating Auburn. And they didn't do that this time. They handed it off a lot more on the RPOs that were there, and that made a huge difference. It made absolutely a huge difference. I really hope they continue that. And there's going to be times when they do it and they get stuffed. It's just going to happen like that. Then what do you do? That'll be interesting. But you're right. And the route, by the way, it was Malcolm Simmons was not where Thorne threw the ball. He threw it to Keandre Lambert Smith.
yeah, later, yeah.
But I was like, okay, why did he call out Malcolm Simmons? And we did it on the film room. He's supposed to run a drag, I think, from the other side of the field. He runs an out and runs into Cam Coleman or whoever's over there.
Yeah. Peyton wanted to go right off the bat. He just wanted to go to Malcolm. And when that didn't happen, then he's like, oh. And
that's frustrating to hear, though. Wrong route. Still, here we are, second half of the season. I don't care what class you are. That's frustrating to hear.
Yeah,
I think some of it might have been because they were trying to tempo a little bit more in this game and get the calls in a little faster and go a little quicker. And that might have been one of those moments. And it was like, he just didn't know what to do. And it'll happen. You don't want it to happen, obviously. But
again, you know what? This probably happens a lot more frequently than we know. But we're talking about Hugh Freeze being so transparent. Like, here's what happened. And where most coaches might not say that, like, that guy screwed up.
Well, I mean, if you want to know about something, just ask him.
Yeah.
Some coaches will go, we didn't execute it. He'll go, we don't exactly what happened here.
We don't ever run the wrong route here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but he had 4. So of those 15 completions, 4 were for 10 yards or more. Let's see, 5 were for 10 yards or more. So 10 of the 15 completions were 9 yards or less. I mean, they were just ball control. A couple to Jarquez, I think 4 or 5 to the running backs, a couple to the tight end. Even, you wrote about Cam Coleman, Cole, even that game, you're like, oh, there's Cam on an intermediate route.
A little hitch.
It turns out we don't have to just go deep to Cam Coleman every time. Like, that was nice to see him run a short route, run an actual route, catch a ball, a little ball control, and not be Cam one-on-one back shoulder or Cam deep. Now, he's good at that. It's fine, but it's nice to see him get involved a little bit from an intermediate standpoint.
Yeah, well, the idea is you keep throwing him hitches, you throw him comebacks, and eventually they'll play tighter on him, then you go over the top, right?
A little hitch and go.
Look for that this weekend. I'm sure that.
Yeah, back at home, Freeze will take his shots for sure. He'll and you'll have to. Vanderbilt's a better team than Kentucky. Vanderbilt's is well coached. I mean, you're going to have to play well to beat them. I talked to somebody. I think I posted on the board Monday. I talked to somebody last week that is a part of that crew that came from Liberty, and I mentioned like next week in Vanderbilt, and they were like, oh, that's a big one. They were like, we want that one so bad because of obviously the way the last 2 years have gone. Just
it's personal.
It is, and Freeze. He's not going to say it publicly, but in that building, he's a competitor enough of a competitor than those other guys. It is absolutely personal because they got embarrassed at Liberty, and they got embarrassed last year by not just Diego Pavia, but the offensive coordinator and Jerry Kill embarrassed them, outcoached them for 2 years in a row. They also feel, I think, a little bit slighted 2 years ago because when they played that game 2 years ago, that morning is when things kind of broke with, hey, Freeze is a prime candidate for Auburn. And they had, from what I understand, players at Liberty like on the way to the stadium on their phone seeing this. And the coaches are aware of it. And so you got that was breaking before that game happened. And so you had players seeing that. And it was hard to lot of distractions going on, and then you go get smoked, and then of course last year they come in here and completely and thoroughly dominate. So it's in that building. Yeah, it's going to be personal. They
Do
want
you
it
remember
bad.
the post game, or maybe it was halftime interview that Freeze did after that game, the New Mexico State game that they lost at Liberty? They asked him directly about the Auburn job, and his answer was something along the lines of, "Well, I feel like I've earned a chance to go back to the SEC or something." Like
I
he
think
didn't
it was
even
post-game. I
shut it
I
down.
I vaguely
Transparency
remember.
big to a fault.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
post-game,
have to
there was
go
kind
check
of
on that. Don't quote me, but I think it was something. I remember seeing it and going, "Huh." That
no,
pretty
there
much
was something
confirms all that.
post-game. There was something post-game that was like,
Yeah, I don't remember it word for word. I may be off, but I do remember something that was like, "Oh, wow." So that confirms those reports, I think. I love it.
It was probably something like, I'm just happy, but I do feel like when the chance comes around, I feel like I've earned another.
Yeah, I think I need to be back in the SEC.
that's fair.
And then I think the
Um,
first press conference he had at Auburn, I asked him something about being banned from the SEC. He's like, "I wasn't banned from the SEC. They just didn't let me back in." Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a mass. That's the part of the game that I can't quite predict. I mean, I don't think you can underestimate those guys having Freeze's number the last 2 years. Clearly they know, and the plan both times. I mean, it's just ball control. And you heard Freeze say it on Monday. He goes, I remember exactly what he said, but he was talking about the game last year. He's talking about the ball control. So Auburn had the ball 21 minutes last year. New Mexico State had the ball 38 plus minutes in Jordan-Hare Stadium last year. Then you look at the Vanderbilt Alabama game this year. Alabama had the ball not even 18 minutes, 17.
Crazy.
And they only ran I don't even think they got to 50 plays. So I think that's, and he mentioned last year their first possession didn't even start till 5:05, and I think that's right. New Mexico State got the ball and went on basically a 10-minute drive to start the game, scored. I think Auburn got the ball, didn't do anything, and it's like the first quarter's over, you're losing. That ball control, but he mentioned how frustrating it is. And think about Hugh Freeze. Think about how impatient he is. Think about how he wants to operate. If the other team is controlling the ball the way that Jerry Kill, Tim Beck, the way those guys have the last 2 years, man, it puts a lot of pressure on you if you can't get them off the field. Somebody like Freeze is going, "This is not how I want to play." He used the word uncomfortable. That's what he said. He goes, "It's uncomfortable." It's a big red flag in terms of if they can't figure out how to get them off the field and he feels uncomfortable calling plays, that's danger zone.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing they got to flip is get Vanderbilt and Pavia off the field, which Auburn's defense has not been great on. They were better against Kentucky, but that's sort of been their Achilles heel is these third downs, especially third and long. You get into Pavia, who's a playmaker. It's just a lot of challenges. They got a defense.
Vanderbilt is number 1 in the SEC in third down conversions.
That is the game to me right there.
Almost 50% they're converting.
I would assume they're also number 1 in time of possession. They got to be.
I'm sure. A defense, I think that's the game. We're talking about Auburn's defense is the game. Get off the field, not just hold them under scoring. That's important, but you got to get off the field and you got to make this thing somewhat fair. Time of possession, you got to get off the field on third downs. If you do, I think Auburn can make things happen on offense. But if you let them hang around on the field and Freeze feels pressured with not enough time with the ball, then you worry about does he get antsy? Does he take shots? Does he get out of his rhythm? It's like a domino effect to me.
Yeah.
That's going to be big, the third down defense for Auburn.
Absolutely.
And Auburn is currently 11th in the league at 38%. And we know, man, the first half of the season, a couple of those games, it was third and long. Auburn's third down defense in the first half of the season
Yeah.
was bad. It was frustrating, and it was 3rd and long, and they couldn't get
third
off
and
the field.
longs. It's the 3rd and 8s. They were giving up 3rd and 9s, giving up.
I think it actually has gotten a lot better since, but yeah, it was horrible. I'd like to see what the last 2 games were. I think they were much better, but yeah.
Punted 3rd down conversions. Let's do what are they in October? Let's see. What did Auburn play? 3 games in October? So they were 42% in October. They were
That was better. No, was that worse?
That's
worse. Well, October actually they gave up 42%, so actually worse than what they did in August, September by about 5 or 6 points. Now the key, like you said, is the 3rd and longs. I'd have to go look up specifically that they were okay. It was like the 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s. They were giving those were such backbreakers, but Kentucky was better. What were they? Kentucky was
got in Arkansas. It was like
12,
3rd and 12 and 4th and 17, and they just gave up. Missouri all on that 17-play drive, and I don't know how many 3rd downs they converted in a 4th down conversion. Kentucky, Missouri had on that last drive, 95-yard drive.
That's the game. I'm sure we'll see Riddick a little bit spying.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be big.
That'll be big, but you got to get him in those scenarios. And if you can, I mean, he did what was it, Oklahoma, where it's kind of his breakout party a little bit. And yeah, he did a good job. That guy's Pavia's good. That Oklahoma quarterback's a better athlete than Pavia. Pavia's a better player, but just pure athleticism. That guy was faster. Like Riddick's, the speed won't be an issue. I mean, if Riddick plays it right, he can run down Pavia. He can chase down Pavia. They just got to get him in those situations where they can spy him and let that work. Let the secondary play decent. Give him a chance to go hunt a little bit.
What is the over under? 48.5. So you're looking at 31-27. No, that's 58.
27-20, 27, yeah, 27-20 would be 47, something like that. That's probably about it.
If Auburn doesn't win this game, I'm going to be so disappointed.
I was going to ask you, if they lose this game, how would this stack against losing to Cal, Arkansas, or Oklahoma? Probably depends on how, but Vanderbilt is not a bad team or anything. It's
still Vanderbilt.
Really?
I'm sorry. I don't care how good they are. It's still
Me too. I feel the same way. But if you lose, if you win, it's a huge win. It is, man. Will this be the first 2-game winning? Yeah, this will be it would be the first back-to-back. This would be the first win streak of the season. 2 wins.
Yeah, it'd be the first win streak since last year when they beat State and Arkansas or Vanderbilt when they won those 3 games in a row, which was late October.
I think this is a huge game. I mean, we've already said that multiple times, but and if I honestly, we'll get to predictions, but I'll be disappointed, really big, and not for them, for the coach. I mean, they need this game, and they need to make a statement. And I don't mean scoreboard wise. I mean clean football, good football. I want to see them play good football for an entire 4 quarters. I want to see what this team could do playing good football. Maybe they can't. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, and I know where you're coming from. I think it would be very demoralizing.
There you go.
To feel like you finally got one.
There you go.
And then you go into the locker room and you tell your team, "See, guys, we're capable of it. We just got it. You did it. You found a way to win." And to follow that up with the next week with going right backwards, right back the other way would be very, very demoralizing.
There you go. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Really
That's why I think this is so big for these kids. They've got to get this win. Get that win against ULM. Go into A&M game. What would you be, 5-5?
Yeah, be 5-5, and you'd be 2-4. You'd be 2-4 in league. You'd be 5-5, and now you're like, guys, we win. We're going to a bowl. real stakes on the line here at home
Yes.
against a team in A&M that at that point will be whatever 5-6 in the country. Maybe.
I was going to say top 10.
Yeah, monster game, biggest home game. If they somehow could beat Vanderbilt, and then you beat La Monroe, that game against A&M is outside of the Iron Bowl. Outside of the Iron Bowl, let's say the last 2
Probably
years.
the biggest game since the last time A&M came to town.
Yeah,
mean,
when
the
Cadillac took
Cadillac.
over.
Now, I guess going into it, but you remember that was right after Harsin was fired.
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago before the A&M game. I think that's right.
Well, but I mean, like, I'm even thinking about it.
You're talking about season stuff on the line.
We get like even when Alabama came to town 21 and 23, Auburn, you're like, okay, I mean, it's a big game, but I'm not sure if Auburn can win. Georgia comes to town in 23 last year. Big game, but I don't know if Auburn can win. If Auburn can win 2 in a row, and given how they were kind of close in some others, this is one where you're coming in and A&M is coming in top 5, and I think you're going, guys, we can win this game. This is not a Hail Mary. This is not a big game, but it's going to be probably tough to win. This is like big game, and we are capable of winning this game. I don't know when the last time I'd feel like that. Maybe Ole Miss, Harsin's first year, they were top 10, and you're like, guys, we can win this. But I don't know when you'd have an opponent ranked this highly coming in that you could also go, we can absolutely win this game. And we don't, I don't know when the last time I'd feel that way.
And if you're looking at records and whatnot, you're looking at a team, if, again, Auburn wins the next 2, that you're not a 5-5 team at that point. You're a team that really should be 8-2. You should be right there with these cats.
Yeah.
Record-wise. You're not, but you could be and maybe should be.
Yeah. Kind of bad timing to see Vandy, honestly. But
this season or right now.
But I mean, it's winnable, man. It is. Let's not second guess that. It's very winnable. I felt like the Kentucky game was the most winnable of the year so far, and that proved to be true. I think this one's winnable. Winnable doesn't mean you're going to win. It just means it's winnable.
Well, I want to see improvement, and I want to see consistency, and I want to see this continued line of. I want to see a line of trajectory.
Listen,
in the right way.
It's a lot better to end on a strong note than to start on one. It is a lot better. I'm telling you. Finish strong. Don't start strong. Finish strong. I mean, you want to do both, but if you didn't start strong, finish strong.
Yeah, and the other obviously reason this is a huge game is you got 4 games to win 3 to go to a bowl. If you lose this one, or if you lose to A&M, then you go to the Iron Bowl having to win to go to a bowl. And I know some people might go, well, who cares about bowl games this year? This is different because of the amount of young players that have played. Those are legit important practices. If you can get them in December, it almost doesn't even matter if you win the bowl game. Who kind of care? Like, you could have guys opt out. Auburn could make a bowl, and guys Keandre could opt out, or Jalen McLeod could opt out, and you could go lay an egg in the bowl game. But for Caleb Harris, Sylvester Smith, Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Malcolm Simmons, for these guys to get 6, 7, 8 additional practices, that's half a spring. You can get that in December. I mean, I think that's what you're playing for. It's not even a bowl game. I think you're playing for the bowl practices. You're playing for, give me 7 or 8 more practices in December with these guys that will be critical going into the spring. We show up in the spring and these guys can have a few more of practices in December. I think that's those December practices. You can give Walker some reps. You can figure out a way to get him a handful of more reps. That's what I think you're playing for the future, more than just a bowl game.
No, don't forget, you also had Malik Blockton and I think Caleb Harris, a couple of those guys in for bowl practices last year.
Yeah. Riddick was there.
Cam Coleman was there. Maybe.
Joe Phillips was there.
Yep, Joe Phillips was there.
That's what
Jamonte Waller. I think Jamonte Waller, maybe. I can't remember. But there was a good little group there from the class that came up. You could argue that it paid off for some of those guys.
Yeah, that's what you're playing for if you're thinking about the future. Who cares about the actual bowl game? Cool, win it. Maybe a cool place for fans to go, but get these guys some additional and think about it this way. Not to look too far ahead. We've got plenty of time to talk about that. But what if? And it happens all the time. What if Keandre's like? What if he opts out? Perfectly his choice. What if he's like, I'm going to go pro and we'll opt out? Hello, talk about reps for Malcolm and Perry if he opts out. What if Jalen McLeod opts out? Hello, Amaris Williams. Think about the reps he gets now in practice and in the game. Like it, so you'd want to win the game, but if a couple of those guys opt out, that's even more legitimate reps and serious playing time that could happen in the bowl game for these guys. Like that stuff's big. I think it stuff's invaluable.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually mind it at all. I'd actually encourage them to go have a seat.
I mean, yeah. At that point, like, hey, man, we're comfortable with whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Whatever you decide is cool with us. Y'all might be shocked by my prediction.
All right, Cole, Reed, do you some game time, and then let's do.
Oh, yeah.
Zach, let's not go to the Birmingham Bowl. My God,
The Birmingham Bowl.
Although for me covering it, I'm not. Yeah, it's a little pop up the road. I'm okay with that.
That's true.
I'm okay with that. Don't send me to Las Vegas. Don't go. I'm not 6-6. I'm not going to Las Vegas. I'm not going out there to watch. No, that ain't happening. I don't even know if they can go.
They typically Nashville. I mean, where's the furthest they've gone? Really, the Tampa.
Do they still have Shreveport? Because that's somewhere you do not want to go.
Oh God. Anyway, before we get into predictions, game time. If you are a slacker, if you're a slacker like me, and you haven't gotten your Auburn Vandy tickets yet, you need to go look at Game Time, either gametime.co or the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code ON3, ON, number 3, $20 off your first purchase. Listen, you're taken care of with the Game Time guarantee. If you find tickets somewhere else and they cost less than what you had on Game Time, they will match that.
Oh,
I understand. They'll credit you 100, or they'll credit you 100%, 110% of the difference.
Oh, wow.
They got zone deals now going on all the time, kind of like what zone of the country you're in. Like if like Alabama, they may have a deal for things going on in that part of the world, I guess, part of the country. So definitely check out all these different things. They keep adding new things like that. Some things you can guarantee, lowest price, event cancellation protection, 24-hour return guarantee, and on-time ticket delivery if you don't do digital, which they have that as well. So create an account, redeem your code with ON3, that's ON, number 3, $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Game time.
Game time. Real quick, the Bowls, I don't know if this is right, but it looks like you've got a bowl in Houston, you got the Las Vegas Bowl, or a bowl in Las Vegas, you got, of course, the Music City Bowl in Nashville, the Birmingham Bowl, the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Liberty Bowl in Memphis, ReliaQuest in Tampa, another one in Tampa. But if you're 6-6, you're staring at Birmingham, Las Vegas, Nashville, which I don't think they sent in there 2 years in a row. Maybe Houston. So Houston, Vegas, maybe Birmingham. So yeah. Anyway, predictions. I have no idea. Somebody else start.
I'll go.
I gotta think about it.
I'll go. Because I have been thinking about this, and it would be so 2023 of Auburn to lose this football game. It would be a setback, major setback, especially coming off that win in Kentucky. When these kids' spirits are so high, their confidence is high. The coaches, as Justin said earlier in the show, have put an absolute asterisk beside this game. This is a very important game for Auburn for so many reasons. I think the crowd is going to be so much more into the game than maybe they have been all season. It's going to be an early game, but I don't think that matters. I like Auburn. I like Auburn putting it up. Maybe I felt like they played 2 good quarters of football at Kentucky. I think maybe they get 3 against Vanderbilt. Let's calm our tits here. We're not expecting them to play a full game of just really good football. I'm not yet, but I like Auburn. I like their identity that they're finding on offense. I love the freaking defense. Love the defense. So Auburn 31. Vandy 17.
Oh.
Ooh.
Boy, that's really close to mine. That is really close to mine.
What you got, Cole?
I got 28-17 Auburn.
Okay.
I'm in the same line of thinking as you. I don't know if they can get a complete full game of dominance. I think if they could, I think they get in the 30s to 40s. I think that's what this team's capable of, even against a team that's pretty good like Vanderbilt. I don't think they sleepwalk into this game knowing who's at quarterback. I almost think that helps you if you're Auburn. Yes, he's going to make his plays. You can't. He's he's got that Johnny Manziel in him where he's just going to have some magic every once in a while. It's just going to happen. But I think they know how to handle him. I think they know how to deal with him. I think they know what Vanderbilt's trying to do. They know what their identity is, and all of that together. I just believe in DJ Durkin. I think he's an excellent coordinator.
Me too.
I think they will handle it appropriately, and I think they're gap strong on defense. They don't seem to. I mean, you heard Malik Blockton talking about that. He's like, the one time I get out of my gap is when they score on me, and that's on me. The whole game's on me. It's like, no, it's not, man. But listen, yeah, I'm glad you think that way because you can't leave your gaps in a game like this. So I think they're pretty strong on that. They understand it. I think they'll do well on defense. So 28-17, I think have a chance to score more points than 28 on offense, but they won't get it done. 28's as much as I can give them, but I do think they win the game.
Yeah, I was just sitting here looking up. So Auburn total defense in October was third in the league. Texas was first. Florida, who's playing well, was second. But Auburn was third. Everybody played 3 games. Some Missouri played 4, but pretty much everybody else played 3 games in October. Auburn's all were on the road, and they're 319 yards a game is what the defense allowed. That's the third best mark in the SEC in the month of October. So not bad. I'm going to take Auburn, but I don't feel great about it. I think it's going to be. Pavia worries me. Their experience and knowing how to frustrate Freeze, that trio worries me a little bit. I do agree with you, Jeffrey, about the atmosphere. I think it'll be solid. Should be a beautiful day. 11:45. Don't think that's going to be a concern at all. Matter of fact, I actually think the fans will probably be excited to get out there and not wait till 6 o'clock or even to get out there rolling. I think it'll be a lot of energy. The team should be in a good place mentally. So we'll go Auburn. The other thing is the O-line coach at Vanderbilt. I didn't realize till Freeze said on Monday the O-line coach at Vanderbilt was his O-line coach at Liberty. I didn't know that. But that's interesting. Yeah. And so maybe there's some we'll see who can win that chess match, but maybe Freeze can provide Durkin a little bit of, hey, here's kind of a little bit of what they want to do, and maybe Auburn can kind of shut that down. You mentioned the rush lanes. That's huge. Auburn has not been great. Defensive line has not been great at staying in their rush lanes. It's what's caused some issues. They have got to do that this week. You cannot freaking get out of these rush lanes. They've done that a bunch. Stay in your rush lane, and I think they'll be okay. I'll go Auburn. I like 27. I think Auburn can get there. It can maybe get over 30, but I don't know that they've been consistent enough on offense to say they're going to go over 30 against a pretty well-coached team. 27, I kind of like 27-20, which almost puts it right at the over-under, kind of puts it right on the line. I'm kind of right there with it. I think if Auburn can get a bunch of turnovers, they can get over 30. But I'm kind of right on the number in the over-under. I'll go Auburn 27, Vanderbilt 20. Just a much-needed win. My gosh. Do 2 in a row. 1 is great. Get 2 in a row, and I'll be inching back towards, okay, I'll be inching back on the bandwagon of that they've actually turned. 1 game's fine. Win 2, and I'll think maybe you're actually turning it around.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to see them win it straight up. I don't want it to be a dogfight.
Yeah. Win it home. The home fans haven't even enjoyed one. They showed up to Cal. Brutal. Showed up to Arkansas. Brutal. Showed up to Oklahoma. Brutal. They haven't watched Alabama A&M and what was it? I don't even know the other team. Who'd they win? Who'd they beat?
New Mexico.
Yeah, those don't even count. These fans have shown up for those home games 5 in a row and had nothing to show for it. Man, it'd be nice if they could walk away from a decently big game and with a win and feel good.
I was looking at I was looking at something. Anyway, New Mexico is still in the top 25 in the country in scoring. Not that they're playing anybody crazy, but
they've won like 3 or 4 in a row. I'll look
yeah,
at
they're pretty good. They're not a bad football team.
Okay.
Zach put in the chat there a minute ago. Louisiana Monroe got beat by 30 points by South Alabama last week.
Got exposed a little bit.
South's pretty good, man. And Jacksonville State. Both of those teams are good. Jacksonville State beat Liberty last night.
Yeah, Liberty's lost a few now.
They lost to Kennesaw State a week ago.
And before that, right, the talking point for people that were kind of ragging on Freeze was looking up and going, guys, Liberty's been like pretty much awesome since Freeze left. Then, of course, last 2 weeks but that coach is good. Like, let's be real. Like, give credit to freaking Jamie Chadwell. That guy's good.
Yeah, he's good. They run the option style offense, the triple option, almost out of the shotgun, kind of like what you're going to see from Vandy a little bit. And Caden Salter, who everybody thought might be the savior, he throws a pick in the fourth quarter when they have to have a drive. He's kind of fallen off a little bit here lately, but I stay strong with, if you don't fix all the issues, it doesn't matter all that much unless you get a absolute superstar at quarterback.
Listen, that's a whole nother podcast and whatever. I know everybody's talking. Peyton Thorne's got a few games left. Well, I'm not going to sit here and piss everybody off about it. But look, Peyton Thorne has been fine the last handful of games. You can go look at SEC games only and go stack him up. He's top 4 or 5, even 6 in a bunch in completion percentage and in a bunch of stuff in SEC games. I understand he makes mistakes that you're like, oh my God. There's some of those moments, but he has not played poor football.
Just a question.
5 games or so.
Maybe this is a question for Zach. Do y'all understand the quarterback rating stat? The QB rating, QBR or whatever?
For like pro football or
No,
NFL
like,
rating's different.
No, well, yeah. I guess for college, whatever, but what does that mean? What is that number from exactly? You know?
I don't like their NCAA PlayStation.
No, it's always in the stat line, like completion attempts, and then your completion percentage, yards, touchdowns, interceptions, then quarterback rating. What does that mean? The quarterback rating, it's a percentage number, and I don't. But anyway, so the lowest quarterback rating Peyton Thorne's ever had was last year. Okay,
like for a season.
Yeah, for a season. 129 was his quarterback rating last year. 129.1. The best he's ever had was at Michigan State when he threw for 3,000 yards that year that they were good, 148. And this year he has 148 quarterback rating.
It was 120 last year.
It was 129 last year.
That's a big jump.
He has the same quarterback rating right now that he did the year that they were so good at Michigan State when they won 10 games. He threw for 3,000 yards, all that.
So I know NFL and college are different. It looks like 160 is considered pretty much an excellent rate. Anything above 100 is good, but 160, just some quick research. 160 is kind of an excellent rating. I know from an NFL, it looks like from an NFL standpoint, because I think they go to 100. Their quarterback ratings are lower, but from their standpoint, it'd be like a quarterback rating of 80 means that performance is better than 80% of the game performances so it's something like that. But college is a much higher number, so I don't really. Why can't we all get on the side? I can't NFL and college quarterback ratings be the same damn thing? Because you're right, it's confusing.
It's off from 0.2 from that year that they were so good at Michigan State. 3,240 yards, 27 touchdowns he had that year. So basically what I'm asking, are we seeing the absolute ceiling from Thorne right now? Because he's got the same rating he had that year. Exactly the same.
As his best year at Michigan State?
Yep, which was a very good year for him. 3,240 yards, 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Who knows if it's the ceiling? I mean, who knows? I mean, he's, you'd like to think there's things he did this year that he could clean up and not make, but he makes some of them every year. So I will say, I think they're getting closer the last handful of games to I do think they're getting closer to fully understanding how to communicate, how to over communicate, not to do whatever, like when to take a shot, when to not. I mean, he has not played poorly the last handful of games. there haven't been a bunch of, I mean, the turnovers are low. I think they're getting closer to sort of figuring it out and putting it all together and not putting him in terrible situations. Although the before half against Kentucky was a joke, but
The Zach says the key factors in it: completion percentage, yards per attempt, touchdowns per attempt, and interceptions per attempt. Those are the key factors into a QB rating. Difference between NFL and college football is that they weigh those factors differently. Okay.
yeah,
I didn't
and
mean to throw it off the
160
rails.
was an NFL. What I read, 160 is like a perfect NFL ratings. I don't know. Like, for instance, the top college quarterback rating right now is like 188. So like that number.
Which
goes
is
up.
what? Is that Nussmeier maybe?
I think it's the Indiana guy. Although he's hurt now.
Okay. I was thinking SEC. I was just looking at SEC quarterback stats. I didn't even throw it off the rails, but Peyton's, I think, 6th in the conference in the SEC in passing yards, and then his QB rating's pretty high as compared to the rest. And so I just those numbers are interesting. I didn't understand them fully at all.
Yeah, he's done some good things. Completion percentage has been above 60. Yards per attempt, of course, in the offense, that's been pretty high for the most part. Touchdowns per attempt, they don't throw it a ton, so that's probably been decent. Interceptions per attempt, that obviously was high, and now it's probably coming back down to earth a little bit. But we'll see. Should be a fun game. 11:45 SEC Network. Auburn Vanderbilt. Of course, you got some good games later in the day. Bama LSU at night. Georgia LSU in the afternoon. 2 monster games there, so that'll be fun. But Auburn Vanderbilt 11:45 SEC Network. Let's see if Auburn can make it 2 in a row. Take it one game at a time where you're at for Auburn right now. One game at a time. Win one, make 1 win, 2 wins, make 2 wins, 3 wins. That's kind of where you're at. All right. Y'all good? We need to shout anybody else out?
Go to Sessions.
Justin, did you know 2 years ago today you were heading to have a talk with Brian Harsin and he got fired while you were on your way?
2 years ago today, he got fired today. Oh, on Halloween. That's right. On Halloween. Yeah. He got fired on Halloween.
Yeah, our guy Caleb Crawdad put that on the board just now. He said 2 years ago today. He said 1 year, but it was 2 years. Hoke was on his way to interview Harsin.
No, not interview.
No, not interview.
Get yelled at.
Yeah, right. That never happened. I would like to know what he was going to say to you that day, though.
I think he was just mad at something I said. But join the corner. I don't know. I mean, like join the club.
Yeah,
don't even matter.
Yep.
Wild. I remember everything about that day. I was 10 minutes away from the complex. I remember where I had to park in the middle of downtown Auburn. The parking lot start working. I remember somebody in media relations texting me 10 minutes before I was supposed to be there going, "Hey, never mind. You don't have to show up." I'm like, "What do you mean it's 10 minutes? What do you mean I don't have to? What do you mean now I don't show up?" He's all right. Check your email. I'm like, son of I'm like, what?
That's wild.
Literally in my car, man. That's pissed, man. I missed lunch.
You got him fired. Can't believe you did that.
Man. All right. Let's roll. We'll see everybody on the corner. AuburnLive.com. Subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel. Subscribe. We'll see everybody at the happy hour show, and then we'll see everybody at Jordan Hare on Saturday. Later.